My name is Tamara van Zwol and I work at Sound and Vision in the Netherlands for the Dutch Digital Heritage Network.
My name is Lotte Wijsman. I'm a preservation researcher at the National Archives of the Netherlands, and I'm the one to blame for the Supra-Organizational word.
Hi, my name is Eva van den Hurk van Klooster and I work at the Regional Historical Center Vecht en Venen in Breukelen.
Yeah, changé. Thank you so much that you're here to hear us. Oh, yeah. I will just go to the next one. I will do the introduction about Preservation Watch, because with such a long word you have to explain what you mean, so we're going to do that. Eva is going to tell us about the current activities that we do, and Lotte will finish with our future plans. So, the life cycle of digital information objects is influenced by all kinds of factors. You all experience them. You have your designated communities, their wishes, their needs. There are all kinds of technological developments. We hear them in this conference as well. Changes in file formats, dying hardware software, climate change, but also things like shortage of funds, or new technologies like the DNA storage that we heard about yesterday. So it's important to monitor all these different developments so you can plan on them and you can take action if need be. And that's what we call Preservation Watch. So what is the problem? If you want to keep track of all the array of developments, technological ones, your designated communities, everything that might influence this life cycle, that's more than a day job, and we don't have that time. I mean, everybody has limited resources, unless you're Bill Gates or Elon Musk, but everybody experiences that. So how can we help as a community with the Preservation Watch of organizations? That's where the community comes in and is strong enough, as we see here every day here at the DPC conference. So what is part of the answer? Community approach. Well, there's nothing new there, I suppose, but you still have to find each other there. It's more effective and efficient to work together. And this Supra-Organizational Preservation Watch, you can see it like supplementing the Preservation Watch that's already done within your organizations themselves. And we're dealing, I told you, it's about monitoring those developments. So what we do as a group, we monitor, we don't give specific advice, but we monitor all the trends that are there. So in this slide, you can see what we're doing exactly. We're monitoring technological developments, threats, opportunities that may have an impact, because sometimes you don't know yet. It might be something that comes in a few years, like yesterday with the DNA storage. It's not there yet, but perhaps it's going to be a big factor to take into account. We're also weighing the risks and opportunities that these developments entail. We like to test new tools and services that might be helpful in the monitoring process. And also we like to document and share the results that we find. So now Eva is going to talk about how we set it up.
Yes, thank you, Tamara. In our definition of Preservation Watch, we talk about the monitoring of technological, organizational, social and political developments and developments in our designated communities. Though it is our goal to extend on the number of topics that we monitor, as per this definition, the current setup of the Preservation Watch, in the current setup we focus on technological topics. The idea is to start small, while setting up the groundworks for the Supra-Organizational monitoring and gaining experience. Within the scope of technological topics, the emphasis will be on topics that are, judging from signals from the network, the most urgent. These are file formats and preservation tools, metadata models, schemes and standards, and storage techniques. To cover these topics, the current Preservation Watch group has been divided into 3 groups that each focus on one of these topics. For each topic, the expert group works with a stock agenda of developments that needs to be kept up to date. The stock agenda can be adjusted or supplemented during the course of the year with the needs of the designated communities as the guiding principle. On the one hand, each subject is about monitoring of existing products, services and developments that change, become outdated and or obsolete, and therefore pose possible risks. On the other hand, it's about identifying new products, services and developments that may have a potential for the heritage sector. The group on file formats and preservation tools has narrowed down their research topics to the limitations of preservation tools, file formats that are on the brink of becoming obsolete, and workflows for migration and conversion strategies. A project has been formulated to expand on a study which uses the Bayes diffusion model to predict the life cycle of a file format. This initial study focused on global data sets, and the new study will focus on local repositories. The goal is to optimize the analyzation process of different file formats. In addition, the study will explore the effects of different applications on a file format's lifecycle. Also, this year the group will publish about several conversion and migration projects that have taken place in the members' archival and museum institutions, and about cinematic graphic file formats. The group on metadata models focuses on learning about and getting to know the differences between several metadata models. The group currently explores the possibilities of linked open data and what linked open data implies for archival institutions. Another topic that the group studies is what the group calls technological innovations. In 2022, the group focuses on technology and bias. For example, the automatic detection and repair of unconscious bias in metadata, collection metadata, and the dangers of using artificial intelligence to create metadata, one of the dangers being the unintended creation of biased metadata. The group also planned on writing about the impact of the new Dutch archive law on digital archiving, but since the implementation of that law has been postponed to 2024, the group has temporarily dropped that subject. Finally, the group on storage techniques will delve into different methods of storing data. There are currently some innovative techniques being developed for storing data, as we've heard the last couple of days. For example, techniques like DNA and glass. These techniques claim that a lot of information can be stored compactly. To evaluate these new techniques for heritage institutions, the group wants to use digital preservation storage criteria. In addition, the group also wants to evaluate some of the existing techniques like tape, file, optical and block storage, and emerging techniques like long-term object storage and optical storage against these criteria, so that a comparison can be made between existing, emerging, and future storage techniques. In doing so, the evaluation criteria can also be examined to see if they are satisfactory or to see if there are some missing criteria. It's the group's aim to publish these results at the end of this year. Well, even though we've narrowed down the focus in 2022 to the previously mentioned topics, these topics are still quite extensive. Therefore, the group will be supported by external watchers, or in this case, tech watchers. These watchers can provide the necessary monitoring actions to enable the expert group to focus on weighing risk factors and share these with the heritage community. The group on file formats and preservation tools and the group on storage techniques have set out vacancies and are interviewing people for this position. And the group on metadata models currently is approaching people with a background in metadata models and artificial intelligence to offer them the position of watcher. And it's our aim for the watchers to start at the end of this year.
Thank you. So how do we communicate all this? Well, of course, it would be nice to just do it by ourselves and indoors, locked away. But of course, we want to share it with the other people and really help benefit other heritage institutions that don't have the staff or capacity or some other reason. So the thing we use is KIA. It's Dutch. It's a Dutch abbreviation for Kennis- en Informatiearchieven. I'm looking at some people that don't speak Dutch, I think. So I will translate it. It's knowledge and information for archives. So it's quite simple. It has different groups. So you can join a group on web archiving, preservation. You can really pick out your interest, but you can also post blogs on stuff. But there's also job listings on it. So it's a really, it's a great community to be a part of, and it's a great platform as well. So we have created a knowledge index within KIA. You can see it on the picture right there. And as you can see, we have the three groups, or maybe you cannot see because it's still in Dutch, but you can see the file formats, bestandsformaat en preserveringstools. Then the metadata, and this is a storage techniques one. And then we can share a lot of information there, also videos, but blogs, make it easy to read as well, so we don't have to do an entire report of 40 pages, because people simply don't have the time for that, so we want to accommodate them as well. So what we'll be doing in the future is adding more blogs, more information, so we will really fill that out, and hopefully people will respond to it. That would be nice. So what more for future plans? So we have the expert group. We are working on it within the network with all these experts. And we will be making blogs, and we use Trello to really prepare for that. So we have a board, and our plans are in there. So we can say, like, in a couple of months, we want to do a blog on DNA and get it out there. So we can really see each other's work as well, because we have the 3 groups, and we want to know what everyone is doing instead of just being apart in our own little areas, in our own bubbles. And also, we really want to involve the community to give us feedback and to start that conversation with each other and help each other out where we can. So I would like to invite you all to, ask us questions, but I think also if you have any tips or recommendations or ideas, just come talk to us. If you're not thinking of it now, but you think in a couple minutes, I remember, I know something to ask them, please talk to us. We'll be here the entire week. So please find us. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Do we have any questions? Aha, yes, one in the middle of the room there.
Cool. Hi again. Thanks for your presentation, Tamara, Eva, Lotte. I really like the idea that a couple of years ago we were able as National Archives to present at iPres how we do Preservation Watch Planning and Action. And now we have a national Preservation Watch. So I'm also interested to know from perhaps the audience here what they would think about having an international Preservation Watch, because every single organization can't know everything. And in the Netherlands, we can't know everything, but if we do this on a world scale, perhaps we might be able to do something. And of course, everyone knows a lot about what happens in the world, but we don't store it somewhere. So any ideas? Contact the ladies over there.
Thank you very much. Any thoughts on that?
Well, since Remco, I work with Remco, so I have to agree, of course. Sounds like a great idea.
Yes, well, if anyone wants to know more about how we set it up, because we only started last year, March, so it's kind of fresh, and also in the pandemic period, just like Mickey had the same thing. So if you're interested in how we set it up, and please come to us, and perhaps we can do something internationally or work together in that respect. Maybe that's more than just making a supra-international preservation watch. Maybe next time. Okay.
Thank you. Yep, they're at the back of the stalls.
Hi. At the top.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that hand, Maureen. Pardon me.
That's all right, I'm a long way away.
Maureen,
Thank you.
and then there.
Great presentation. Thank you ever so much. I love the idea of a community preservation watch because there's so much that we need to watch out for. I'm really interested, though, in the risks and opportunities assessment that was mentioned earlier on in the presentation at the start. Do you have a standard process for assessing the risks and opportunities that are flagged by the Preservation Watch? And if so, could you tell us a bit about it, please?
No, we don't have yet. We are trying to find if there are some risk and assessment models available. Sometimes they're there, but sometimes we don't know if they're applicable for everything that we do. So that is still part of the research, really, to see if we can, for example, automate the preservation watch more. Because also, I mean, we're with a group, but sometimes you want to make sure that you keep on track, and by automating that, it would be easier. And also, it might be different for some subjects to evaluate the risks that are there, because sometimes you can see you see something coming and it's still not clear if it's going to be harmful or perhaps helpful. So we don't have that yet, but we are still looking for, if there are methods we want to try out, we will try them out. Yeah, but it's a good question, thank you. It's very relevant also, so we're looking for it. Yeah.
Thank you. And question there?
Thanks. Very interesting. I always find Preservation Watch an interesting topic to engage with, especially kind of at the micro level, because that's as far as we think in my organization. But I was wondering, part of my question has already been answered because it was in her question. I was wondering also about the socio-political component of Preservation Watch. So there's a big focus, and it's quite easy to focus on formats and technologies and so on. But the framework also has the socio-political angle, and how is that incorporated in your framework? Just thinking also about the war in Ukraine, and coming back to my micro level within my organization, it's decisions by member states of the United Nations that impact what we can preserve, how we go about it, and so on. So just say a little bit about social, political, environment monitoring, please. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that fits in that when we started, we talked a lot about scope because it's super organizational. So we want to do things that aren't just focused on one organization, but just a lot of them. So I think the social political is kind of out of scope because we kind of want it applicable for everyone. So we're trying not to focus too deep on specific subjects, but it's also kind of an ongoing conversation we have to have in the 3 expert groups to see what is within scope or what is too specific and what is too broad. So we have to have that conversation each time and just focus on what we can do. But it's a really good question, and I think we need to focus on that as well and just be mindful of it. So I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, it's a good question. We did talk about it in the beginning. As Lotte said, what will be the focus of this group? We can't do it all. I know that one of the subjects is also about bias in metadata, for example, how you can use technology to reach that. So that has more social-political implications. And perhaps, I mean, we're going to evaluate. We're going to start. We're starting already, but we're going to start, and at the end of the year, we're going to evaluate and see, is this still the focus that we want? Are there other topics that come up? Or perhaps the community will say, we need more information on this subject. Can you do this? So we have to see how they respond to this, what we do now. Because if we do, we have to have more people involved, because we are a group of experts with all jobs and also next to the Preservation Watch. So it has to be doable, but it is an important issue, absolutely. So thank you for your question.
Thank you. Oh, thank you very much, everyone. And nothing on Slido? Oh, thank you for waving. I'm sorry, people at the back of the room, the lighting's kind of tricky to see. Very, very quickly, if you could, please.
I'm not sure it is that quick. I'll try and make it quick. So in the example, it's great stuff, guys, so thanks for your presentation. In the example you gave about storage, you talked about assessing different storage technologies against the storage criteria, which is a great way to start, I think. But in digital preservation, I think we often learn from doing. We dive in, we try something out, things go wrong, and then we learn from that. Is there a way that you're able to sort of incorporate some of that into your Preservation Watch process? I'm not sure how you do that. It's kind of intangible, isn't it? But it seems important.
I think that will be very interesting. I think we will first start by just getting some blogs out and just giving people some pros and cons and just a broad spectrum of options and what is possible with it. But I think you could do case studies afterwards and just being like, what is your expertise? What is your experience with it? I think that would be also really interesting for the preservation tooling group. Just what is your experience? I think for me, if I just speak for me, when we are working with the tools, sometimes there's just this one thing and you have to know it. And if you don't know it, you don't know how the tool works at all, or you're just getting stuck. So it will be very interesting to add case studies as well. And I think we should really try to involve the community as well to provide us with those case studies, because we learn most by doing. I completely agree.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Tamara, Eva and Lotte.